Are those sneakers? Yep, they're so-called lifestyle sneakers made by Hoka, designed for maximum comfort and support while walking or hiking.
And the president does have a history of stumbling.
He looks like, there's no other way to put it, an old man who's worried about falling over with the next step. You got to see this story. This is from NBC News. Apparently, Joe Biden is spending a whole lot of time being angry about the polls right now. Remember the old Saturday Night Live sketch where Dana Carvey was George Bush and John Lovitz was Michael Dukakis? Again, I keep dating myself. Why do I keep going back to 1988? And George Herbert Walker Bush, he gives this, they're doing a debate. And George Herbert Walker Bush does this whole rambling, nonsensical kind of answer to a question that makes no sense. And he's just like, it's sort of like how Joe Biden talks in real life today. And then they cut to John Lovitz as Michael Dukakis for the response. And his answer is, I can't believe I'm losing to this guy, which is funny, even though he did lose because, well, he was a crazy left-wing liberal and he hated Ronald Reagan and the American people wanted a third Ronald Reagan term. That said, Joe Biden is walking around the White House right now, reading all of the things about how stupid and horrible and evil Donald Trump is, that he's facing all of these federal crime convictions and local crime convictions, and he lost the case to E. Jean Carroll, and he has to pay $98 million, and he's believing all of this stuff, and he's seeing all these things, and then he looks at the polls, and he goes, how am I losing to this guy? My God, we've sicked the entire judicial system on him. And everyone that I hear from tells me how terrible he is. So why am I losing to this guy? He's very angry about this, apparently. And which brings us to this little snippet in the NBC News write-up here, where I just love, and I think you will too. At times, Biden gets suggestions that conflict with one another. Some advisors have told him he should walk faster out of concern that his gait feeds impressions that he's too old. Yeah, it's just an impression that he's too old. And yet the White House is sufficiently worried about him tripping that he has taken to boarding Air Force One via a shorter staircase through the belly of the plane, foregoing the iconic image of the president waving from the main doorway high above the tarmac. So in other words, he's got advisors saying, Mr. President, with all due respect, why are you walking like that? Because you look like there's something wrong with you. You look like you're too old. You look like you're worried about falling over. Oh, and by the way, we're going to make sure that we don't have you going up the stairs anymore because, well, you're going to fall over. So let's take a look at the walk we're talking about. It's the famous Biden gait. There he is. And if you're wondering why sometimes you'll see him do that, apparently that's his concession to the people who say, change your gait once in a while because you look like you're an old man who's worried about he's going to fall over with every step. Because, well, look at him. He looks like, there's no other way to put it, an old man who's worried about falling over with the next step. So once in a while, you'll see him go and have this little vigorous trot. What's he checking his watch for? He's the president. It's impossible to be late. And now let's see if he can make it up the stairs. This is always harrowing. Oh, we didn't go that far. All right, let's watch the trot, though, again, because I do love the little trot. There it is. All right. So at the same time, they're worried about his gait, and they're asking him to walk differently because people think that he's too old and he looks like he's going to fall over. At the same time, they're also sending him up the short stairs at Air Force One. So, of course, he's confused. While they're telling him that he needs to change his gait and look a little bit more vigorous when he's walking, and that's why he puts the little trot on, at the same time, they've also given him brand new shoes. You noticed it there in the last clip, right? Here, let's just take a quick look at the very beginning. You'll see these are very distinctive, funky shoes. You see, they're like these little black sneakers, and they've got like a little back heel that sticks out, almost like it gives you more stability to keep you from falling over, right? Like it's like almost like these giant snowshoes where a little shoe fits inside it. What the hell is that all about, right? Well, these poor miserable people over at Inside Edition actually did a puff piece on Joe Biden's new old man shoes.
Many observers couldn't help but notice his footwear. Are those sneakers? Yep, they're so-called lifestyle sneakers made by Hoka, designed for maximum comfort and support while walking or hiking.
And here they are, the Joe Biden sneaker. They're made by Hoka.
Well, not exactly. That's not the same sneaker. That's just the typical Hoka. Hoka makes walking shoes and running shoes. I got nothing against Hoka. I've got a pair myself. I don't really wear them anymore. I don't like all of that cushion. It's weird. I want to feel the ground when I'm running. But see, this doesn't have that little platform in the back, the little diving board that they stick out there for extra stability for Joe. These are just regular walking shoes. So already Inside Edition is not giving. But poor Les Trent. You know, he probably went to journalism school. He's probably still paying off his student loans. And this is how it manifests. He's doing a feature on Joe Biden's old man shoes that he wears so he doesn't fall over.
These are called the Hoka Transport. And as you can see, they look quite comfortable. They have a wide sole, no doubt great for stability. And the president does have a history of stumbling.
Many observe
Stumbling? Stumbling? How about falling over flat on your face? Did you not see the graduation at the Air Force Academy? Stumbling. Yeah, here's some more pictures of those shoes. You can see there. First of all, there's no shoelaces either. So you can just slip in and slip out because God forbid you bend over and tie your shoes. And you can see the little thing sticking in the back here. By the way, it's not just when he's walking to the Marine One or Air Force One or anything like that. Here he is on the picture on the right. He's just attending some sort of, economic forum there. So he has to wear them for when he's walking on stage. He can't wear big boy grown-up man dress shoes. He's got to wear these. Now listen, don't get me wrong. I love wearing comfortable shoes. I usually wear like low-rise Chucks, some old Converse tennies whenever I can. Right now, at this very moment, I bet you're wondering, I'm not wearing any shoes at all. I'm in my stocking feet because I'm comfortable this way. But guess what? I'm also not president of the United States. I don't represent our nation on the world stage. There's a reason why we always show the president walking to Marine One or walking up and down Air Force One staircase and striding confidently toward other world leaders, because he's projecting an image of strength and power and class and dignity. And this guy's wearing little black tennies without shoelaces because they're afraid he's going to fall over. This is beyond an embarrassment. Also, by the way, it should be pointed out that while Joe Biden has those sneakers, the man he's facing in the election has these sneakers. Pick your player, America. Choose your fighter and dress him accordingly. Although that's not really fair, because although Donald Trump is selling these for what, $7,000 a pair, or is it each? Like if you want the full pair, you got to pay $14,000. I'm not sure. It's a lot of money, and I wouldn't wear them because they're ghastly. But different strokes. Some people like them. They're certainly a whole lot better than that monstrosity. No offense, Hoka, but the man's president. We can do better. And I'm not necessarily saying this is better for my president to wear, because here's the beauty of it. Although Trump is making money hand over fist by selling this monstrosity to people who will pay money for it, he doesn't actually wear them. He wouldn't get caught dead in these things. He wears dress shoes like a grown man, not like Joe Biden and his "I'm so old I'm going to fall over" shoes. But see, that's not even the worst of it. It's not about him being old. I keep telling you, it's about him being not well. It's about his brain not functioning. Part of the brain not functioning thing doesn't just manifest it in his lack of speech ability. Oh, he's got a stutter. No, it also manifests in his motor skills, his gross motor skills, his walking ability. Some sharp-eyed videographers caught this video of him arriving in a rainstorm to event, I believe, in Michigan. Take a look at how he conducts himself, and take a look at how the people around him have to help him out. Take a look at how utterly confused he looks. Take a look at his inability to actually know where he's going and maneuver walking through a door. Look at how they all rush to help. In fact, a sharp-eyed, very talented video editor got a cropped close-up of this moment. Let's go full screen on it so you can see just how bad it is. Just play it on a loop now. It's a terrifying video. It's a terrifying video unless this is your grandfather or great-grandfather who's in the final stages of his dementia or entering the final stages of Alzheimer's. It's a terrifying video unless this is a person in your life who you love and you care for and you worry about in these final years on planet Earth. It's a terrifying video unless this is your husband or your brother and your heart goes out to him because you recognize that he is no longer the man he was just a year ago, let alone 5 or 10 years ago. But if he's none of those things to you, if he is the president of the United States who holds the rule of law in his hands through his domination of the Justice Department and the FBI and the intelligence communities, if he's the man who can direct your children or your parents or your brothers and sisters to go into combat and die, if he's the man who is moving legislation in this country that is devastating our economy, if he is the so-called leader of the free world who is throwing our ally Israel under the bus to save his pathetic political hide in Michigan because it's more important to be not so meanie-faced to the terrorists instead of standing by moral right and wrong and our allies, if he's a man who wants 4 more years in the White House to be able to control everything that he already controls right now, it is beyond terrifying. It's unacceptable. And it's got to change. Yeah, we can make fun of him for his shoes. And it's worth making fun of, but the shoes are just an indication of where he is in his life right now. And the fact that he controls and does all of those things from the Oval Office that I just mentioned, as the head of the executive branch of the federal government, with all the constitutional powers, including war powers that go along with it, the fact that that's who this guy is, it tells you that there's a real problem right now at 1600 Pennsylvania, and it's not just that guy. It's the guys and gals who are controlling that guy and insisting that he stay in place to continue to wreak the damage that he wreaks.